All right, welcome to the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast, episode 127. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me once again this week, Steven.
Whoosh.
And Chris.
Hello.
Rachel is not feeling well, so she has taken the week to rest. So we will be here to talk about whatever is going on in the world of gaming and to complain about things because it's fun. So, starting with that, let's jump into what we've been up to. And Stephen, let's start with you. What you been doing, man?
Well, I've got quite a bit of gaming in this week for once.
Nice.
Finished Sniper Elite 5 for PlayStation 5. So now I've beaten it on both consoles. It's one of those games that I'll just always replay. I'm curious why they never put the DLC on sale ever. Because
that has a co-op, right?
Inherently expensive. Yeah, it's co-op.
Oh, I need to pick one up then.
Because I just beat it with Chase. That was fun. And then with Christian, we played Ship of Fools from Team 17.
Ooh.
It's both local and online. It is a roguelite, whatever you want to call it.
I never know which one it is.
It is very cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
And there's parts where, because it's almost like a boat version of Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, in the fact that somebody's got to take care of anything that's on the boat so the boat doesn't fall apart while the other person is like shooting with a cannon, but then you can both use cannons, carrying them around the ship. Bunch of different stuff. But
somehow you can lift a cannon off of the pedestal and put it somewhere else.
But you can get like nominal upgrades, and you go through like a hexagonal grid that slowly fills with darkness. And when it fills with darkness and you go into it, you fight the boss of that area. And obviously, if you die, you go back to the very first area again. But it got heated a few times where we panicked to the extent where Chris lost his voice screaming at one because we didn't expect an entire row of enemies to appear that were all kamikaze blowfish that blow up.
No.
They blow up and basically obliterate your ship. So
we had a problem with one, and then we saw an entire splatoon of them. That was just too much for
me. After we finished Sniper Elite 5, Chase and I were looking for another game to play. I suggested Evil West. On a good side, Evil West almost feels like Wild West meets Gears of War in terms of the grittiness, the gore. However, this is one of those focus features games, so it can be hit or miss or archaic in some ways. And the multiplayer co-op is very archaic in the fact that he's a clone of me, so he's not another character.
Right.
And nothing he does progresses his story or his character or any save game.
I hate that.
I do too.
Me. So he just gets to play along while I play. Because I'm and it warns you in the beginning.
Oh, God.
And remember the last... you, like, hey, you can't use multiplayer until you've played the first stage by yourself. So
right. Remember, that's what Redfall already had a bunch of problems with the fact that like you and I played through all that stuff and then found out none of it counted on my save. And I was just like, oh, I'm done with this.
So I just don't understand why they do that, especially when it's something like there's more than one character out there. So it's like you and I both got to pick a different character. So that would have made sense for it to carry over. This one, making him a clone, I was like, okay, I really thought because in the game there's one other guy with him that would have been his buddy. No.
Yeah.
So
it's co-op for the sake of co-op.
It's not too bad. And then because of the third one being so much fun, I'm almost done with Cat Quest. I have not fought the last boss yet because I've gone around, I've done every cave, I've gotten every item and every quest I could, so I'm like obliterating that game like you'd obliterate a game that you love to get 100% of it. There's one cave I'll never get because you have to basically, like right now I'm level 70, and there's one cave that's just there to be crazy, and it's level 200. It's a level 200 monster in there that's just it's the basic monster, but if it hits you, it does your whole life bar. So
Ooh.
and it can cast every spell all at once. So it basically just fills the screen with all the elements
This is
and
one of those where
chases,
it's like, I just want a good reason to never like this game
and it can
again.
chase you
Pauses.
down, and it's not going to give me anything because I already got the treasure in the cave. The only thing it would do is take away the little marker saying that you cleared the cave.
You
So I
can
was
live
like,
with the
luckily
marker.
this is on Switch, so I will not be going crazy. I'm going to leave that cave alone because I got the treasure. That's all I wanted. And then next time I play it will probably be when I beat it, and then I can move on to Cat Quest 2. I do like the humor. The puns can get a lot, but the developers put themselves in the game, which is always awesome because there's a secret island in the game where you'll
Oh
find the
yeah.
developers, and they'll be like, you can go in there if you want. Good luck and stuff like that. And then there's levels that hint at the sequel.
I need to just break down and order that one. It's like
So it
I've
was
heard
very
between
well
you
done.
and
So I'm going to be
Rachel.
moving on to the second one soon.
Nice.
Nice.
All right. Chris, what about you? What have you been up to?
I haven't been doing much gaming this week because I've been boning up on D&D 5th edition.
Ooh.
I am not good with stats or numbers or any of that stuff. I've known some phenomenal DMs in the past, people that can really just concoct a story and
Mm-hmm.
get all these awesome monsters and everything. Yeah, sadly, we have a friend who has departed us now.
Aw.
Um, he was an amazing DM, Scott, and you know, but I have little patience for this kind of thing. But now they're coming out with Shin Megami Tensei Tokyo Conception, the role playing game, and it's like when Disgaea came out. I hate RTS games or grid whatever games, but the cutscenes, the anime characters, and the comedy made me want to learn. So that's what's happening now. I'm playing something that I hate because it involves something that I love. So now we'll see what wins out. And I'm also playing Nocturne again to get 100% Demon Compendium for research.
For research. Nice. Oh my god.
So hard.
Listen, I played Unmerciful for your sake.
Story mode.
Hate you.
Oh, Lord.
Anyway, what have you been doing?
Well, for me, today was the first time we actually had a Panama City Ghostbusters event. So I got to actually get in full suit, go out. We went to our local comic book store over at Comic Emporium, had kids and other people coming up, taking pictures and talking with us. And it was a lot of fun. It was a little nerve wracking because it was the first time I've ever actually done that publicly other than like Halloween. So that was a lot of fun. Brent stopped by to say hi and support and dropped off a Game Boy pinball game that he had found while he was out that I had never had. So I have another pinball game for the collection. And then we also got some badges. Chris, one of the guys that's in the Panama City Ghostbusters group as well, got a hold of this Leonardo badge because he started the whole thing of now I'm collecting these. So if anybody finds any good ones, let me know. I'll order them. And then we have a pub crawl that we're doing in June. And he had these custom ones made of Slimer drinking up, that we're going to have to give away. Of course, that's along with the normal, our actual logo for our group, which is the very, very neon style. So all of these I'm going to start keeping in my Firehouse popcorn tin that I got from the last movie. I was like, that's the perfect thing to use that with and keep them in there.
Nice.
On a much sadder note, we have this little guy. For those watching, yes, I am holding a micro SD card. For those listening, this is one that died. And it didn't die in a good way. Apparently, I knocked it off my desk and found it by rolling my chair and hearing a grinding noise against concrete.
Oh,
And was like, oh, there's a rock or something that somehow got in here, got stuck in my chair. And I rolled back forward to see the corpse of this little guy just laying there and picked it up and realized this is the 1 terabyte. Thankfully, it was blank. I hadn't used it yet. And as Chris pointed out, empty is better than full in this case.
yes.
What Chris also pointed out is I said I hadn't used it yet because I hadn't figured out what I wanted to put it in yet. And Chris responded, now you can put it in the trash. And he's not wrong. So I held on to this for that joke, but it's in the trash now. Those things aren't cheap. I'm really annoyed, but
Wait for
whatever.
Black Friday. You'll get a
Yeah, I think
decent
that's where I
deal.
got it.
There you go.
So, lastly, I've been playing Tunic more. I think I talked about that last time, but I've
Nice.
really, really been enjoying it. Like the mechanics have been great. Jennifer's still liking it because she's playing on the invincibility mode. So now it's just a matter of her figuring out where things are, which is pretty difficult. I'm going to have to help her out with that some, but she's liking it because that was her stress. Everything killed her.
Mm.
I don't mind doing it because I know it's difficult and how it is. And I'm glad I did not read the instruction book that came with the edition that I bought, because I found out that kind of would have spoiled the game for me, because you find the pages of that book in the game, and that's how you get maps, or it explains certain functions. Like I just found a page earlier before the show that finally told me, like, oh yeah, you can just hit the L while you're in front of this statue, and these items you've been picking up wondering what the hell they are, you can spend money and use them to like enhance your attack and your health and your potions. And I was like, oh crap. So I can do that now. I found the shield finally.
Nice.
And I've been just kind of working my way through trying to, cheese what I can. And I'm looking for a torch. There's so many dark places I can't see. And that OLED screen, it's great to play on, but dude, black is black. Like you can't see anything. So I'm really enjoying Tunic. So that's one to definitely pick up.
Did you watch that video of that door?
Say what?
Did you watch the longest cheat code to open a door?
No, I forgot about that. I need to do that again. Remind me later, because I always forget. And lastly, I'm still playing Final Fantasy 14. I think I'm probably going to be saying that for a long time now. Jeremy, my oldest son, and I keep telling him he doesn't have to do this, just popped up, and there's a Xbox gift card on my couch with a note that says Dawn Trail and Game Time. So I guess he got me enough points that I'll be getting Dawn Trail, which is the upcoming expansion, which will give me the other expansions I don't have, because I have been having fun playing it. And he wants me to play with him, and I played with him and with John, and I'm enjoying it. It's been great. So that's good. He didn't have to buy me Game Time. I'm an adult. I can pay for that, but I appreciate it. So thank you. So we'll probably hear more about my MMO stuff going into it. Nice. I don't think I can't handle multiple MMOs anymore. I have too much going on. But
it's like a job. You don't want more than one.
Yeah, no kidding. Like I would love to get back into WoW a little bit just to revisit, because I liked it, but I'm like, I don't want to go that much into it, So all right. Well, speaking of World of Warcraft and all that stuff, let's go ahead and jump into our news. All right. So Blizzard has announced that there will be no BlizzCon 2024 this year, much to the chagrin of some people, and a lot of people are kind of upset, but they did say very clearly events will be held in the future. It's not going away. They're not pulling an E3 and killing it off. They're just like, we've had a lot going on this year. We just finally merged with Microsoft and all this other stuff going on. We're going to hold off on that event. Details for the World of Warcraft War Within expansion, as well as Diablo 4's expansion of Vessel of Hatred, will be kind of shared at other events like Gamescom, things like that. So they're still planning stuff. They're just like, hey, it's too much for us to do right now. And I honestly, at least they're being clear about it, because Blizzard's kind of been bad about that recently.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of events, they said, for the World of Warcraft's 30th anniversary. So they said, don't worry, we haven't forgot about
it. Oh my God, has it been that long since World of Warcraft?
Yes, it has.
Oh my God. Well, I think that's 30 years for Warcraft. It hasn't been 30 years for World of Warcraft. There's no way.
World of Warcraft 30th.
World of Warcraft, the MMO. Is not. Yeah. There's no way it's been 30 years. It came out in the 2000s. That's only 24 years ago. Yeah.
Well, maybe they're fudging the numbers like Sony and the PS2.
They're just adding in secret years you didn't know you lived through. That explains why I feel older. I'm guessing this has to be about Warcraft because it would be 30 years since Warcraft came out.
No, you're right. Warcraft.
Okay,
Warcraft.
that makes sense. Fun. The first Warcraft game I ever played was actually, was it the Saturn version? Was the first Warcraft I ever got of Warcraft 1 before I had a PC. I played on somebody else's Saturn version. It's weird.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Bombs are great. Bombs are great. Throw one back with me, dog.
but there's gonna be a bunch of like streamed events and stuff like that. So I don't know. Would you rather them be kind of open about this and just hold off on the event, or do you think they should try and do something after their mess ups recently, especially with like Overwatch 2 story mode going away?
No, I think this is kind of needed because they're under new management. So they need to close up shop for a little bit while they get all their stuff together. And I know Blizzard said that Spencer has let them just be Blizzard, which is very good. But I think now that they have the acquisition in mind, that there's some things they can make much bigger or much better.
Right.
So, because now they just have the connections that Microsoft has, the network, not just the money. It doesn't matter about that. It's more about like the networking and just what doors Microsoft can help open up for them and just help them out overall.
Yeah, I mean, I know they were letting Blizzard be Blizzard, which is good, but I guarantee there was still some cleaning of the house behind the scenes, given the controversy around some of their management and other stuff that was happening, some of their BlizzCon events that, things got reported and events that happened as well. They're probably like, okay, we need to scrub a bunch of this. Like, we'll let you guys be you, but some of the stuff has to change.
I think we're basically getting a BlizzCon V2, so we're getting a next gen update to BlizzCon.
Speaking of next gen updates that hopefully will go better than this. So Fallout 4 finally got its next gen update for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. I got it for Series X and I got it for my computer as well. I haven't tried it on Steam Deck. Though apparently if I'm doing that, I no longer have a graphics option or options at all.
Yeah, settings is gone.
Which is super weird. So in order for them to get the Steam Deck verification or valid, ready for Steam Deck, they had to get rid of the menu that popped up in the beginning, which was not that big a deal. It would pop up, you use the touchpad, make your settings, and then go. They had to get rid of that so it would just start the game, so it's not running as well as it could. I'm hoping they fix that, but I mean, what's a Bethesda game without bugs when it comes out?
Fair.
Or Bethesda.
Right. I got it on Xbox and it runs fine for me. Like, I'm not noticing a giant leap in graphics. Some nice visual effects. It's loading a little faster. It is running smoother. I'm running it in performance mode because it said it's 4K with 60, and I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And it's playing fine. It was already playing good on my computer. It's running good now. I know the problem on PC people had, and they forget this is the truth for all PC gaming. When an update happens, it's going to break mods. There's no getting around that because they're not always going to sit there and, they may be fixing something that mod is taking advantage of or changing, and they want to do it a different way. That's not always going to be, they're not going to stop and worry about that all the time. Games just wouldn't be updated if they did that every time. Do you imagine how that would work?
Yeah, they can't just tiptoe around mods. It's just turn them off.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the whole, what was it, Fallout London, that mod got delayed because they were like, oh, this is coming out. We're going to have to wait because we'll release it and then weeks later it'll break and we have to redo it. So we're just going to fix it now. Right. Chris, you got any thoughts on the mod scenarios?
I mean, it's going to happen regardless, but I will say no one knows how to deal with Fallout like Bethesda. So we'll see what happens.
Oh my God, he went there. All right. It's still a fun update to get. It has helped it run a little bit better for a lot of people, but I don't know. The age of it, I get the biggest problem they had was on PlayStation so far. because PS5 got the update. So because PS5 and Series X and Series S, it ran natively now. Like it actually has its own app you click on to run that version of it. So it runs better. But if you had it from PlayStation Plus or the beginning thing when they had PS5 at the start, where they would give you like 20 games or whatever, Fallout 4 was one of them. They were not able to get the update.
Yep.
Or if you'd gotten it free on PlayStation Plus, you couldn't do it either. And people were just getting all mad, saying, "Oh, Microsoft's doing this on purpose. It's working fine on Game Pass. Why can't these
get a
people
free
do it?"
update on my free game? I hate this.
And this isn't the first time. It's like how quickly they forgot. Remember Final Fantasy VII when the DLC and the updates came out for that? People that had the PlayStation Plus version could not get that enhancement.
Or if you're one of the few people who bought the PS4 version of Remake, you're never going to play the rest of the game ever because it's not coming out for PS4.
Ooh.
Yeah, Sony handles those
from
very
Intergrade on.
weirdly.
They were like PS5 only. Sorry.
Yeah, that was a weird one. But Sony's had this issue before where updates and so forth don't work on their PlayStation Plus versions because they treat them like a different SKU. And Microsoft's admitted they're trying to fix it. Bethesda's working on it.
Yeah, that's the reason that new Cyberpunk All-in-One edition is on disc on Xbox, but it has to be like a code on PlayStation because they said they tried, but Sony's like, no, different SKU.
Yep.
Okay.
So, all right. Speaking of Xbox stuff, though, let's jump in. So we got the Xbox financials. I know everyone loves talk financials, but I just thought this was kind of a funny topic in regards to Activision Blizzard as well. So just the three things I picked out. Xbox hardware is down 31% year over year. Xbox content and services revenue are up 62%. And the gaming revenue total is up 51%. Go ahead, Steven.
If you look at the actual page for the financial report, the funniest part is after the Xbox content and services revenue up 62%, it says in parentheses up 61% year over year from the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So you're like, that's why you bought them.
And that's what they were saying. And people were like, oh, well, their sales would be in the can if they hadn't bought them. Well, yeah, that's why they bought them. That was the strategy. It's like, if you if you hadn't done this action, that wouldn't have happened. Well, no shit. That's why we did the action. Like,
they knew what they were doing.
Result.
They didn't just say, we want Call of Duty. They said, we want money. More revenue and content.
So, I mean, Xbox is doing fine selling games for stuff, but they're just not doing too hot selling hardware. And it kind of goes back and forth. It explains a little bit more about why some of the games are coming to PS4 and PS5, which is really funny because I think right now on the sales charts, the highest ones on PlayStation were Xbox games.
There was an article that came out that said there's more number one sellers from Xbox than PlayStation on the PlayStation Store. And I was like, oof.
Yeah, that's a weird one, but I mean, that's the strategy Microsoft's going with. They're still gung ho about doing new hardware, so we're getting another generation. But
smart, so
yeah, I mean, they can't say much. Sony's having to kind of do similar. They're releasing more of their games on PC. I love people still pushing for Helldivers 2 to come to Xbox. It's never going to happen, but it'd be a game that would work. I think if they did it.
It's kind of like all the people who want Bayonetta 3 on Xbox and PlayStation, where he's like, ask Nintendo, they funded it.
Yeah, you're not pulling that out of Nintendo's cold dead hands.
Arrowhead and PlayStation Studios, they funded it. So yeah, you're gonna have that. And
yeah. So the whole financials for Xbox have been kind of weird in that regard. Like this, we're moving into an odd time in gaming, I think, because Sony. They're still pushing, like they're doing good for hardware sales. Finally, now that they're actually getting the systems out there, but they're still pushing in all the almost confirmation of a PlayStation 5 Pro. And it's like, how is that going to affect the sales? Like how many people are going to double dip or move on to that, and then you're wondering about, games being made for one or the other. It's just a mess.
Yeah, we'll have to
So
see how they excite us this summer. So
we shall see. All right, next. So this is a fun one. You guys remember the Wii U, right? It had online, and then after a couple of years, it didn't have online, but apparently it does still have online, kinda, because one brave soul, 2 weeks after the shutdown, is still playing Splatoon somehow. They're still connected to the server. They're still keeping it running. And, they can't play any matches. It times out because no one can join him, but it's staying connected. It's cycling through the maps. He's seeing each, hour as the maps change out. And every time it goes through, it's trying to find it. And he's just staying online. He's able to go to the store, buy stuff. Like, it's hilarious. But
all this makes me think of is that Twilight Zone where the guy has all the books to read and then his glasses break. It's not fair. It's not fair.
I love what was it? Futurama take on that. It's like, well, I still have the large print. My eyes. Thank God I know Braille. My hands. And he starts falling apart.
It's ridiculous.
Have you not seen that, Chris? It's great.
Oh no, I have. I love it. Look at that weird mirror.
Oh man. So I'm curious how long this guy's going to stay on there. It kind of reminds me like when the original Xbox Live went out. It was a couple of weeks that people stayed on Halo 2, I think. Like they tried. They stayed on there for a while. I'm just waiting for someone to just walk in and shut the damn server down. Like, just go unplug the stupid thing. Like, just let it. Either that or they just want the attention.
It's like you look in the server room, there's a little light, and you're like, what is that? Oh, I missed it.
Who left this on?
Hello!
Help me! Oh, man. All right. This next one's a fun one. So, net neutrality is back. And for those that don't understand exactly what net neutrality is, I'll give you a quick breakdown. So, net neutrality, and by the rule of what it is internet companies, providers like Comcast, things like that, have to treat every bit of internet data, the bits, the same no matter what the content is. And what that does is prevent companies from doing some of the crap they tried to pull before, where they could charge you more to allow you to have access to faster gaming. Not just for a higher speed, but like, hey, Microsoft pays us for this amount, so Xbox is going to run faster, but since Sony won't pay it, we're going to slow them down. They're not going to run at the same speed. We won't prioritize them. Or, you can watch Netflix because they pay a fee that we charge them for the data to go through, but Disney Plus doesn't, so we're going to slow them down or not run it. And that law was pretty much shut down a couple of years ago when the FCC, with under a different guy they finally got rid of, was kind of trying to free that up. Because, of course, the internet providers want that. They want to be able to control and charge and nickel and dime everything to death if they can. Big surprise. But it seems we're finally at least walking that back. Now, the internet providers are throwing up lawsuits and trying to fight it and saying, oh, this will ruin the internet and stop, we won't be able to spread the, high-speed internet to everybody, which is bullshit. You guys dealt with net neutrality at all, or aware of this issue?
The only thing ruining the internet is social media.
The internet is ruining the internet, and it always will.
It will, yes.
No, I like things like this. Between this, the part where they're going to get rid of competition for FTC for when you are trying to get another job.
Yes, the non-competes.
They're getting rid of the non-compete
Mm-hmm.
to just random things now where they said, as of right now, if you get your airline ticket canceled, they have to give you a cash refund. It's none of those like, oops, sorry, here's a credit. They have to give you your actual usable money now. So I was like, some things are changing for the much better, and this is good.
Yeah.
This is a
And
good
it's
thing.
not even just cancellations of flights. If it's delayed by like 3 hours or more, or if you get changed to another airline, stuff like that, they have to either fix it or give you that money back, which is nice.
Yeah, because getting those vouchers that had like rules, it's like, no,
Like, they're
do it
basically
right.
pointless. Yeah, it's kind of good to at least see some of that stuff get fixed. I know we've got a whole bunch of crap going on in the world, but at least something is going better.
Yeah, I was like, your planes are already made out of like original Xbox 360s at this point. So until you can get those fixed,
Well,
having this rule in place does make things a little better.
the non-compete, did you see they had I don't remember what news station it was on, but the guy talking about it on the air was like, "Yeah, I was under a non-compete, so can I shop around now?" Everyone's like, "Oh God, did he just call them out in real time on the air?" Going, "Oh, so because it makes existing non-competes void; they cannot be held up legally." Um, so if that was preventing people from finding a better job or working in different places or doing what they wanted, and it's kind of a weird one, like you can work in that field, the non-compete doesn't stop it, but you can't use your knowledge from your previous job, like you can't give companies secrets and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That is
makes
still
perfect sense.
covered. Yeah, they can still sue your ass for that. Be mindful. But just the fact he called it out right there on the air, the people probably camera are probably like, wait, what did he say? It's like, he's either going to get a raise or you're going to see him on another station soon. Hey, if he gets a better deal somewhere else, he's like, hey, I'm free market now, I guess. So yeah, that was hilarious. All right, so who wants to talk about rumors? Because these are so dumb. I just wanted to talk about them. They're funny. So we haven't talked about Switch 2 rumors in a while. So I just, yeah, I had one rumor that I thought was just kind of silly we would talk about, and then a apparent thing that's happened that just blows my mind. So the Joy-Cons on the new Switch, which guess what, people, they're not going to get rid of Joy-Cons. That's just not happening. Are apparently magnetic, which I'm like, I don't know how that's going to hold on there. There's got to be some kind of lock. If you've ever had anything magnetic, like an Apple Pen or something, they're going to fly off.
It'll probably be both.
I think so too. Or I wonder if maybe they'll lock together magnetically or something, become a controller.
That's an interesting idea. Maybe it
kind of neat.
Slides in for the regular dock, and then is magnetic when you use it as a controller.
Magnets,
so that way you
how
wouldn't
do they
have
work?
to,
Yeah.
Well put. Thank you.
I'm still surprised we have not heard anything about the Switch 2 yet. I'm like, I guess because Nintendo is still selling Switch systems like crazy. They're just like, we're just going to wait it out. What's the point?
Yeah, the last report that came in, even through Japan, they sold another 77,000, while the other guys aren't even hitting 5 digits at all. So it's like,
God. If this thing does not take the record for the highest selling system of all time, I'm going to be very shocked. Or
they're just going to have Sony step in and be like, actually, we sold 200 more.
Yeah, we sold
hang
one
on,
more.
Hang on, we found it. There's some over here. There's some over here.
We found a few more PS2s.
Yeah, Sony's
Please
financial.
Don't take this away from us.
The very next year, Sony's financial report will have this quiet part of like spent $3 billion buying up old PS2 stock.
Or they re-released the PS2. Like, just please, we need that back.
PS2, little tiny TWO.
Yeah, we found in another small country and we gave all the people PS2s. We sold them there.
We're selling PS2 minis and they actually count towards the install base. Sorry, guys.
Oh God, that would be terrible. Like, no, we're going to count all the PS2 emulators. Nothing will ever beat us. I guess at that point, maybe Nintendo would win because there's so many damn Nintendo emulators. But the other part, yeah. So the other part I read, and this is what was so weird: third-party peripheral makers, which there have been since the beginning of time, are claiming they were allowed to touch the Switch 2, but not allowed to see it. So, like, I don't know if they had it in a box and you just put your hands in there and you're feeling it. Like, this feels like a controller. This feels like a brain. Or no, it's Jello in a mold. Oh, this feels...
It's like that box in the original Dune movie where you're just like, oh, fear is the killer. Wait, that's a controller. Okay.
I think I know what they meant, though. I think
Go
they
for it.
basically got a 3D print of the system to know its dimensions, and that was it. Saying, here, you can touch the dimensions of the system, but this isn't the actual system, but this is the size and the mold that we're going with right now.
Right. That makes more sense. But the way it was worded, that they were
Yeah.
literally not allowed to see it, but could only feel it,
Yeah,
like
when
touch
I
it. I'm
first
like,
read that, I thought of like Jimmy Fallon putting his hands in the box saying, oh, it's moving. Like,
right.
it vibrates. It's magnetic. Oh.
Yeah, let me just go in there with a caliper and I'll take a measurement, come back out. All right, here's what it is. All right, go and get a measurement. And that would be the most Nintendo shit I could think of, though. Like, you can't see it. You can touch it, though.
Well, the Switch's reveal was a really big deal. Nobody knew if the Wii U's successor was going to be nearly as good or another flop. And when the Switch came out, it was an entirely new concept that they marketed so well with that snap.
Oh, God.
So they
That,
really have to up their game. And so they're probably just keeping everything hidden away until they have the best release pitch ever.
I hope so. That first reveal trailer for the Switch, I still remember how good that was because it released early in the year. They just dropped it out of nowhere. And you had the guy just go sit on the couch, click it in and starts playing Zelda. And then it just went from there. And I was like, what's going
Maybe we'll get
on?
1-2 Switch 2.
I liked 1-2 Switch.
I didn't like that it was really hard to shave with it. I was like,
yeah, I mean, it could use a little bit better. That I will defend that game. It was fun when you played it in the correct environment. It's not meant for one person. It's meant for a group to sit there and play it and have fun and goof off. It's a party game by its very nature, but it's not like Mario Party where everyone's sitting staring at a TV. You have to interact with people, which gamers not always the best at. But I remember like the band kids, I took that up there one day and we had the big screen TV in the band room. They were having a little event. I set it up so everyone could watch this big TV with the stuff up there, and they're doing like the quick draw at each other and some of the other stuff, and everybody had a blast. Like it was successful
and you don't
for
have
what
to
it
look at the
was.
screen. Everybody else gets to enjoy what they see on the screen while you do your interactions.
Yeah, so I agree. It probably should have been a pack in, though it would have been a weird pack in if you bought it by yourself. So it's kind of I don't know. Maybe a pack in with a multiplayer version.
I don't know. Yeah, you got Wii Sports with the other one, so who knows?
Wii Sports at least was really good by itself. So Nintendo's usually good about pack-in games, but they're not always meant for just single player, and I think that's what the flaw is. Not everyone plays with groups of people. Someone gets it by themselves in an apartment, they're probably like, "Ha! I wish I had friends." I got a menu and I can just wiggle both hands with this thing. That just looks terrible. So, have you guys heard of any other Switch rumors? Switch doings? Go ahead, Steven.
Well, the newest one was today because one of those
God,
accessory makers basically posted what he claims he knows so far about it. Is that because it's using the same Bluetooth chip, you can still use your old Joy-Cons and your Pro Controller. That all the old Switch games will work, but Switch 2 games will have that 3DS thing where it's a little bit different, so it won't fit in a Switch 1. So it'll be thicker, wider, or have a little
They'll probably have like a little knob
sticking off of it or something like that. So they just said
that makes sense.
Switch 2 cartridges will be different, so they don't fit in Switch 1s, but Switch 2 will fit both, obviously. They said it looks to be using the same USB-C. It's going to be 1080p handheld, but when you dock it, it's 4K. And so the interesting part of all of this, with people wondering about the power of the system, right, was the fact that there was this one modder who online decided he wanted to increase the RAM of the Switch. So he went in, he did a few tests, and he got it eventually running with more RAM. In the beginning, the games wouldn't run at all, or they'd be very sluggish.
Right.
But eventually, he got it all working hand in hand. And the interesting part was just only because of the increase in RAM,
Mm-hmm.
he was able to play Breath of the Wild on a higher resolution. I think it was like 2K,
Oh, wow.
and it was in 60 frames. So everybody's just like that. That bodes well for Nintendo if they're gonna do like the most incremental upgrade and get a performance out of it. Because if
Right.
all it takes is some RAM and a little bit of tweaking, who knows? Because again, we don't know the inner workings of these systems. It's not like somebody can just reverse engineer these things very easily. They can make copycats, but
I don't have an uncle left to work at Nintendo, so I don't get insider information anymore.
yeah, I don't have an uncle either who works at Nintendo. He left for Sony. But
All of
but
mine have passed.
it's just that time of year again where everybody's just hearing stuff again and getting excited. So it's one of those just like some things you hope aren't taken at just face value. Like you said, I'm not expecting like refrigerator magnetism. I'm expecting a magnet lock, like something that would sit in there and then maybe you click it down. But I think it's just people hated the rails of the Switch.
Yeah,
It's like
I mean, they
like
worked
that hurt
better
the
than.
systems.
Yeah, I mean, if they reinforced those a little bit better, I think it would still be good. Because like I love the Legion Go, but I really miss the Switch Joy Cons being able to just take them off and put them back on. Because this is such a poor version of it. It's difficult to remove. It feels weird when they click back in. It's like you can do that idea wrong. So you got to give Nintendo credit for that. It works.
Yeah, the other parts that the accessory maker said was a little weird, saying like the triggers were metal buttons and stuff, and I'm like, I think some of that's very preliminary.
Yeah. Like I said, I like the idea of like if they're magnetic, just getting rid of the Joy-Con grip and just having them locked together, I think would be way easier. Because then maybe you have one of them as a charge port and you can charge them together while you're playing that way. You could kind of make a little bit better of a controller depending on the size. They might make the Joy-Cons a little bit bigger, but still be compatible. Otherwise, magnets, it's not strong enough to hold it, but I don't know what else you would really do it for. You're not going to be messing with a magnetic
Because
field.
it has to have that extra oomph if you're going to be holding it like this or like this. You can't just rely on just the magnets and suddenly the screen hits you in the face and you crack the screen. So
yeah, you're playing it in some super hot car ride and your magnets just give out. Your Switch just drops.
Or as some people say, once you drop magnets into water, they don't work anymore. But I digress.
God, who said that? Stupid people. Okay. Just so kids know, they do still work in water. It's fine. Ugh. You muted yourself, Chris.
Sorry about that, but don't drop your controller in there if you have.
Yeah, that will stop working. I'll give you that. Electricity and water don't mix.
They don't? Dang.
Not well. All right, so here's our last news story before our big question. So, surprisingly, we got 2 more Nintendo 64 games dropped on Nintendo Switch Online. I didn't even see an announcement. I went back and looked. I don't think Nintendo even tweeted about it.
Came in like a wrecking ball.
Okay, well done, Steven. Damn it. So Iggy's Wrecking Balls. Have you guys ever played this one? It's kind of an interesting racing game.
No, because that cover would scare small children, so I didn't want to play it.
Yeah, basically you're playing as like a character that's just a ball, and they've got all kinds of different designs, and you're racing on multiple tracks that are running simultaneously. You have to jump and platform through it and jump to different sections to try and finish the race, and each course gets you through it faster. It's a really creative game, but yeah, I agree that cover is terrifying.
Yeah, Chris, think of like Wish.com Mad Balls.
Oh God.
Oh, that's great. And then the other one, and this is one I really liked, but the controls feel weird. I got to figure out how they remapped it, but it's Extreme G. This was kind of a, well, not F-Zero, but I guess like F-Zero and, whatever kind of motorcycle racing. It does run really well on the Switch. Like it ran surprisingly good in the N64, but it cleaned up really well. I just got to figure out the weird placement of the controls because like the left trigger is your gas Like I kind of want it to be a face button or something, but
I think that's how it was.
yeah, because it was the Z trigger, which is now the left bumper. It's kind of weird. I'm probably gonna break my N64 controller out, so at least it feels like it used to. Because I played the hell out of this game. I hope we get the sequel eventually, because that was a really good one too. Um, but both of these, I think we need to try these online so we can try and see how the racing is. We haven't played a good Nintendo Switch online game in a little while. We've been focusing on Gears of War and Helldivers. Give the Switch a little bit of love. So, do you guys have any other N64 games that they could just surprisingly drop out of the blue that you'd be kind of happy to see?
Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut.
Oh, the one that was only evolved in Blockbuster? That would be fun.
Yep.
Or if they wanted to be cheeky, give us StarCraft 64.
That would be funny.
If anybody can make it happen, Microsoft can now. So
that's true. I would want Beetle Adventure Racing.
That one was a good one.
That was such a good game.
There was good tracks on that one.
Yeah.
I was a fan of Rush 2 as well, because you could take away the timer and play hide and seek in the city with your cars. It was like open world. It was nice.
I think you could do that on the Dreamcast version too. I think that's the only reason I always ended up playing the Dreamcast one. So, Chris, any thoughts from you? Or
do we have Mischief Makers on Switch Online?
Surprisingly, no.
In that case, that's the one that I want.
Such a weird game, but it was so much fun. Oh man, that's one of those ones where people thought it was crap at the time because it was 2D, and it's like become such a fun little quirky one now. It just wasn't appreciated.
Say that about most treasure games.
Fair enough. All right, so let's jump into the big question for this week. This one came from Steven. It's kind of a fun little question to add in. What is your favorite console startup sound, animation, and UI? So, Steven, since you started this question, I will let you go first.
So I'm going to be auditorially biased.
That's fine.
Because my favorite console startup sound and animation goes to Sega CD. The original, not the new one that had, or not the Japanese one that had different music.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just, whenever you turned on the Sega CD, whether it had a disc in there or not, you got the no. It was just something that you could just leave there by accident, and you would just be rocking out to the music.
That was a great song.
So it was always something that I could tell when somebody would turn it on, you'd hear that kind of magic start. You're like, oh, Sega CD's here. But surprisingly, UI, and it's because I have so many good memories of how it was done, is actually the Wii, because every channel you went to, it was banger after banger after banger. So the shop channel would have the music that you'd clap along to.
Mm-hmm.
You'd go to the weather channel and you'd hear like something neat.
Yeah, weather was too good. It should not have been that good.
Like no matter where you went, there was something just like keeping you entertained. And I was just like, I don't know who
everybody votes
the soundtrack for the Wii UI, but I want it on CD. And
That'd be a fun project.
It's gotten to the point where some of those people have made into dances and TikToks and such, because it's just, they're so iconic. And I was just like, I miss those channels. I miss the channel where people would vote on things, the voting channel.
Yeah, everybody votes.
Where Nintendo would just throw things out there. And you were just like, even if I don't like the channel, this music's pretty good. I can just sit here and relax. So
you got the Wii Shop menu music.
Like no matter where you went, the stuff was slow, but it was nice to see like Mario hitting the coins when you downloaded a game. And I always, in my mind, I was always thinking each coin is 1% of the download. But then when I got faster internet, I saw him like not finish going to the coin block, so I was like, "Oh, my dream has been shattered."
I always wondered if it was like a measurement of the data itself, but yeah.
But yeah, everything, it wasn't until the Wii, where even when you wanted to move over data. Pikmin would show up and start moving your data over to,
Oh yeah, I always love
to like
that.
the Wii U and such. And I was like, there's little touches like that portable systems, and then the Wii did as well. I was just like, it's just something that you're taking a tedious task and you're making that you want to watch it. Go figure.
Okay. So for me, I chose for both the startup sound, animation, and UI was the Wii U, but with an asterisk, because I think it was at its peak. Like, it's not bad by itself normally. I do still like it, but when Wii U had the online, all of that stuff was going with Miiverse and all of that. Not only do you have that lovely startup sound, and then your Mii drops in and waves high, and then just hordes of people, all your friends come running in, and you're seeing kind of like what they're playing, what they're doing, new posts. Like, it was such a unique and fun interface for basically a social network Nintendo just made and forgot about. Like, that was actually kind of a fun little social media.
Nice
And
water.
say what?
Nice water.
Right.
There was that one guy who loved the good water in games.
That was funny.
He would point out the
Okay.
water was awesome looking in like a boat game or an RPG.
There
That's
was
all
some
he
good,
did. Stuff like that. It was nice.
but I
Why
thought
not?
it took a lot of the best parts of the Wii's interface with the channels. You can kind of swap them back and forth and go through everything. And I liked how that ended up working out. So that one was always kind of fun just to see. But even now, without the internet, you still get your Mii dropping in and saying hi, and then you get random other characters that come running in that they're stored in your system or other stuff, and it just tells you like system options, and it still says like you could connect to Miiverse, and I'm like, no, I can't, you little liar. You're ruining this for me. Um, I agree with you though on the music side of it though. The Wii just, I was, that's what Nintendo's missing for the Switch. Like, give me
With the
that
Switch,
music and
I'll admit
menus.
what they did was because my wife and I will always comment on it, is instead of the music, it was more about the sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you go into the options, and then when you when you're trying to wake up your system, you can wake it up with a horn, a horse, or just
Mm-hmm.
like a regular click.
That
Whenever
feels
your friends
like,
list, it's like wee, woo, wee, woo.
yeah, the
So it's like
startup
talking to each
effect
other.
sounds like what they did in Mario Paint, where you could click on different things and get different sounds. It's almost like a console version of that. So, all right. And Chris, what about you?
I've got two different Sony ones for this one. For
Ooh.
the startup noise, the PlayStation 1, it was like those THX theater things where it was just
Yes.
so a big, loud presentation. And because you didn't always know if the disc worked, let's say if you
I was
got it
just
from
about to say that.
Blockbuster
There's
or you got like an import or it's scratched somewhere, you're just waiting for that second part, that little. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
you wait for the diamond to go away and become a PlayStation symbol, and you're like, yes, I got a game.
Exactly.
Quick,
Like
flip
that,
the
it
system
has to
over.
be too harder.
Yeah, flip the
Otherwise,
system over.
exactly. You get the first one, and you're like, okay, let's try this again. As for the UI, this is very niche, very specific.
Ooh.
I like the PlayStation 2 UI
Mm-hmm.
because of the memory card icons. I loved the little animated memory card icons.
Yes.
They were unique for each one, which was really cool. And this is going to be a little morbid, but I also love that if you hit delete, a lot of the icons became really sad and just pleaded with you not to kill them. It's just something
No
adorable.
mercy. Oh my God.
Oh,
That's
yes,
great.
there you go.
It was
Yeah.
also fun learning about the in terms of the memory cards would create all those blue pillars on your PS2
Mm-hmm.
as part of the UI, depending on how much you had saved. And then that
Yeah.
one continued your tradition of when you put a disc in, does it go to the PS2 or do you get red
You get
pillars of
you get
death
the empty
saying,
hell.
please insert
Insert
a
PlayStation
game?
disc.
Like, dang.
Yeah, I got to give Sony credit. Like, a lot of their interfaces are usually really well creative for a lot of that. Because I'm trying to think, the earlier systems that had startups, like PlayStation had that opening. A lot of the CD ones usually did, I think, because they had some kind of showing because they had to load the disc and start it up, which is why we had stuff for like Sega CD and all that. I don't remember many cartridge systems having startups though.
Well, they never really needed it.
It was too instant.
Yeah. Like I think N64, like, it did have some, but that was like for the 64 disk drive, things like that.
Yeah, because that actually had to like access data, but cartridges were so fast. It's just, unless it was a portable system, they didn't really include anything to be your startup.
Yeah, I think here's a question for you guys, real quick, just to add to this. The first system I remember having that had a startup, I believe, was the Dreamcast. Because I didn't have an original PlayStation, and that came out before the PS2.
If we're just going all systems, I was going to go to Chris's favorite memory of just turning on the Game Boy to hear the beep and see the logo come down and be like, Game Boy, I'm going to do that again. Game Boy.
No, I guess you're right. That kind of is a startup between that and, yeah, I would have had Game Boy before
you didn't even have to have a game in there. You could still start it up.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be a big block, but it would come down and go, ding.
Like, yeah, well, I was trying to read it. All right. Well, I stand corrected.
If we're going that far, then there's also the Sega Master System, which had doo doo doo. The first time we heard the Sega theme before Sonic did it.
See, I didn't have a Master System until way later. I didn't get into Genesis actually. God, my first actual Sega system was the Dreamcast. Like I played them, but I didn't really get them until after that. All right. Well, it's kind of a fun extra for that big question. Questions. All right. Well, it's been about an hour, so I think we're pretty much ready to wrap this up for today. If you were listening to this podcast, wherever you find your podcast, you can grab us there. Feel free to leave us a review. Give us 5-star review. Tell us what you like about the show. We always love to see that. It helps spread it around. If you're wanting to watch this, or you can watch it over at youtube.com/ZenspathCom. Leave us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, share the video, check out the shorts that we do. Trying to get more of those up there. Been a little behind the past couple of weeks. We've all been living crazy lives. If you want to talk with us directly, you can find us over on Twitter at Zenspath Podcast. That's pretty much just the general group one. You can find all of our individual stuff over at Zenspath.com under the contact us, except for Chris. Chris, don't want to talk to any of you. You can actually talk to him as well, or the rest of us over on the Discord, which you can find over at bit.ly/Zenspath Discord. And with that, episode 127, and we're out. Peace.
Magnet.
Don't put them in water.